Hello everyone, welcome to this new video tutorial on digital dentistry. Today we will take a look at the use of the face scanner. The face scanner is a very useful tool for dentists. It allows us to take a three-dimensional facial scan, a 3D file that can be sent to our dental lab. The lab will use the patient's face scan, this three-dimensional file, to design teeth and make assessments regarding the aesthetics between what will be the digital mock-up and the patient's face. This includes evaluating the lips and all reference planes used in dentistry. One of the biggest issues we dentists face in using facial scanning is superimposing the facial scan and the intraoral scan. We need to ensure that when we insert the intraoral scans within the facial scan, the planes and alignment are done correctly. This guarantees that we accurately detect and capture the actual position of the patient's face in space. I will show you two methods. The first one is a very simple method that allows, thanks to the RayFace software, integration with TRIOS intraoral scanner software, an automatic superimposing between the facial scan and the intraoral scan. This occurs if you use a 3-shape intraoral scanner and a RayFace scanner. The second method, on the other hand, involves the use of a perioral scan, and this will allow you to superimpose the facial scan and the intraoral scan regardless of the scanners you are going to use. The first thing to do is to take an intraoral scan of the patient. Today, for didactic reasons, we will simply use a scan-only scan. But this superimposing technique between intraoral and face scans can be used for any prosthetic treatment, whether natural teeth or dental implants. Well, let's start with our digital workflow, open mouth. After scanning the upper arch, we proceed to the detect static occlusion. First the right side, and then the left one. If the clinical case deems it necessary, you will also later detect the patient's specific motion. After taking the patient's intraoral scans, we scan static occlusion and dynamic occlusion, and then we send the files to our dental technician through the 3-shape communicate software. This is an important step for the first superimposing method because the files should be sent with the 3-shape communicate software so that the RayFace scanner software can get these scans from the communicate cloud, which I remind you is the communication tool between the TRIOS and our lab. We enter our patient data whose intraoral scans we have within the software of the RayFace, and if necessary, we calibrate the face scanner. I entered the calibration system in the scanner. We have calibrated the facial scanner. One of the most important aspects for 3-shape TRIOS scanner users to handle in the settings of the RayFace scanner is ensuring a simple superimposition between intraoral scans and facial scans. This requires correctly configuring the face scanner settings by flagging the 3-shape TRIOS option. This way, the scanner recognizes that we are TRIOS users and will automatically retrieve the intraoral scans we performed within the Communicate software. In the settings, there is an option to enter your 3-shape Communicate credentials so that he can go and get any intraoral scan. That we have performed and be able to import it within RayFace. The second very important application that is present within RayFace is the RayFace Team app. Once you open RayTeams app, you are going to log on to the 3-shape Communicate connection application, which, as I mentioned earlier, will allow you to get all the intraoral scans that you guys have done with your TRIOS. Once we have created the patient, we are ready to take our facial scans. We are going to click on the camera button and it will turn on the facial scanner, and we are ready to properly position our patient for the facial scan. As you can see, the brightness in the room has been dimmed to ensure accurate results from the face scanner. We position our patient in front of the RayFace scanner using a mirror to help us align them correctly. But most importantly, it is important to position the patient lips in the symbols that are present in the lower right and lower left screens. If it is possible, the ears should be uncovered. So ask the patient to pick up the hair if she or he has long hair. The ears must be clearly visible within the scan, because we know that some aesthetic reference plans for aesthetic case management have a need to go through the auricular area. Here you see that there are images that simulate the lips right now are red. I have to turn them green. At this point you see it turn green, and I know that I have positioned the patient correctly. I check the screen, verify that the patient is positioned correctly according to the RayFace software directions, and at this point I can take over my face scan. One of the most important and impressive aspects of this face scanner model is its ability to detect the face scan while the patient remains stationary, eliminating the need for the patient to move. It is the cameras that capture and create the 3-dimensional file. So if I simply tell the patient to smile, white smile, we want to see the teeth. We verify the patient has moved slightly, so we are going to reposition it because we want the green. And at this point we simply press the button of the camera and the patient stays still. We detect one, we go to verify smile a little bit more. Still, and we go to shoot. Understand well that if the patient has to move and the scanner has to detect the patient's face, it is impossible for the patient to hold the smile for more than 2 or 3 seconds. And all other facial scanners currently involve patient or camera movements that can last from 5 to 15 seconds. So although the scanners may be of high quality, there may be issues from the patient's point of view, especially for those who struggle to maintain a smile due to muscle issues. In addition to its inherent quality, the RayFace 200 has the ability to detect the facial scan with a simple, immediate snap in less than a second. This feature provides us with a higher quality guarantee for the facial scans we capture, and we can capture as many facial scans as needed, with different types of smiles ranging from more exposed to less exposed. The second type of facial scan that is very important and can significantly aid in superimposing face scans with intraoral scans is performed with the cheeks retractor. We insert the cheeks retractor, recheck the patient's position, and reposition her using the same technique that we use for the smile scan. Once The lips are green and therefore the position is correct. We ask the patient to remain still, even with the eyes still. And we go to click the camera button. This is a very important scan because we have a much larger amount of exposed teeth, and automatically the face scanner will superimpose the facial scan with a smile to this cheeks retractor facial scan, allowing us a simplification in the superimposing between facial scan and intraoral scan. The brightness level has increased again for our shots. At this point, we simply need to work with the RayFace software and post-process the 3 facial scans we have captured. We click on the button that displays the cube representing the 3-dimensionality of the file. The software will then post-process and create the 3-dimensional file. This operation, we are going to do it for all the scans that we have detected. We choose the facial scan with the smile that looks best to us in terms of dental exposure. We open it and we start the workflow for matching with the intraoral scans. We check the facial scan. We go ahead with our workflow. You see here the box indicating that we can import other facial scans. We are interested in importing the one with retractors with the cheeks retractors. We go to click it, we go to choose it from our scans, and it automatically imports this scan into the workflow as well. Now this step is very important because we have to retrieve, to superimpose the intraoral scans, our dental arches scans, in an ideal flow for us, TRIOS scanner users. We are going to click on the icon that indicates the upper arch. Then it will open a window where we will have a list of the scans that are stored in the server. We're going to look for the name of our patient, in this case video tutorial face scan, because that's the name we gave the patient to make our scans. And we're going to choose these scans, so automatically, thanks to the initial link that I showed you with the 3-shape application, the RayFace will get the intraoral scans that have been taken. We give the OK, and it will go and retrieve the intraoral scans. If you are not a TRIOS user, or if you are connecting with other applications based on the intraoral scanner you use, you can also upload the STL files of the intraoral scans directly to the RayFace software. After choosing the intraoral scans to be downloaded from the previous screen from the server, we will get correctly the upper arch on the upper arch square logo, and the lower arch on the lower arch square logo. What does that mean? It means that the RayFace software has correctly obtained the upper and lower scans and positioned them in occlusion accurately following the TRIOS workflow. And this is a big advantage because the patient scans are correctly placed automatically in the space, and we don't need the bite. In fact, you can see that the bite box remains unfilled. In cases where we are rehabilitating a complex case and not just using a single scan, as I am showing you here, I would like to inform you that in a natural teeth prosthetic case, the RayFace will retrieve scans with prepared teeth from the Communicate cloud. In a dental implants case, the scans will include the ones with scan abutments. Once we have imported the scans needed for the superimposing, we go ahead in our RayFace software, we find the 2 facial scans with and without the cheeks retractors, the upper arch intraoral scan and the lower arch intraoral scan. the software automatically superimpose the two facial scans, and we have to verify the intraoral scan superimposing with face scan. If the patient sufficiently shows teeth while smiling, allowing for easy alignment, it is not necessary to use the scan. With retractors, however, if the patient shows a minimal amount of teeth while smiling, the retractor's face scan help us significantly. In this case, the amount of teeth that the patient shows during the smile, in my opinion, are sufficient to proceed to a proper alignment. The next step is to superimpose the facial scans with the intraoral scans. We are going to click this next little icon, and the software automatically make a try. You see in this area of alignment between the facial scans and the intraoral scans. In this case, it looks pretty good. We might as well be satisfied. You also see, compared to other facial scanners, for those of you who have experience, how the teeth are much less distorted, and so there is the possibility of doing this superimposing quite easily. Here, I have to tell you that anyway, although the RayFace face scanner usually does a good alignment, I always prefer to do it manually with the 3 points technique. Well, let's proceed to the manual alignment. By pressing this icon, the software shows me in the upper part the alignment that it did automatically. In the lower part, we will have on one side the scan of upper arch of the patient. As you see the patient smile through the 3 points that we are going to choose, we can make our manual alignment, which I always recommend. If you are rehabilitating a natural teeth clinical case with prepared abutments, the scan that has to be aligned will be the one with the prepared teeth, so you have to make the patient smile by taking over the facial scan with the prepared abutments without temporary restorations. On the other hand, with regard to clinical cases, with implant involvement, the alignment is done with the intraoral scan of the scan abutment, so you will have to maintain the scan abutment on the patient's mouth and take over the facial scan and smile with the scan abutments. Automatically thereafter, all these scans will be aligned within the dental system CAD/CAM software by our technician. We now proceed to manual alignment with the 3-point technique. I check the upper intraoral scan and I start to choose the 3 points. Usually we choose an anterior one. In this case, the area of the interproximal papilla of the 2 central incisors, which is very well visible, and then we go more posterior to the cusp of the right canine. Clearly visible here, and the other contralateral left canine cusp. If you have instead than the canines, you can use those as well, or possibly use the scan. With retractors in this particular case, this type of alignment is absolutely reliable, so we can click the alignment button and automatically the software will have superimposed the intraoral scans with the facial scans. The next step will be to make a peripheral cutout of the lips so that only the intraoral scan is left within the facial scan. We are going to click on the icon with the lips. We're going to zoom in so that we can make a very precise cutout. And we're going to hit the scissors icon. Again, the software of the RayFace, which is very high performance, makes us a cut according to what is the artificial intelligence sees and interprets. We clearly should correct it. The cutout is very important because it will represent what is the patient's dental exposure. One of the Most delicate areas are those near the buccal corridors. Do you see this green dot as it moves? I don't think a cutout in this area is correct. But I think it is correct, this kind of cropping, because I still see the transition between the upper lip and the lower lip. In other way, I would have buccal corridors too deep, too dark, and this could create problems for my lab. To help you in the detection of the lip margin, move the green dot and check where the lip margin is, because otherwise it would be covered, and then reposition it in a correct way. Once finished, and check the lip margin cutout and being sure that it was done the correct way. Let's go click on the crop button, and at this point we will have our cutout made. Once the cut is done, you will simply have the intraoral scans that we have aligned within of the patient's facial scan. Here they are. So we have deleted the teeth part of the facial scan, and we can see only the intraoral scans in the patient face. Always check, as I'm doing now, what are the distances between the lips and the teeth, the position of the arches, and look in the patient's mouth if that matches. The RayFace software has many other applications. We can make direct mock-up. We can then export them. We can choose from a teeth library. Today in this video tutorial, I want simply to show you how to perform a proper superimposing between facial scans and intraoral scans. Made with TRIOS, we have the scans aligned. We have the ability to have all those reference planes: occlusal plane, camper plane, Frankfurt plane, bipupillary plane that we can absolutely modify as we want. So as you see, I'm going to modify the interpupillary plane, and I can do that on all the other planes. Once we have checked the reference planes, we can export this file, which provides the facial scan, the intraoral scans, and all the reference planes, and send it to the lab. This export is done by clicking on this button that indicates an upload. The software presents this page where there are the export settings. It is very important that we choose an upload that is aligned with the intraoral scans, because this is the big advantage of this 3Shape and RayFace workflow. The spatial alignment that TRIOS establishes is maintained. In more complex workflow, where we have the interim restoration scans, the prepared teeth scans, all of these scans are automatically superimposed within the face scan. Once we choose the upload options, we choose the folder, which usually for convenience I put in the desktop. We select our folder, and then all these aligned files are exported to the folder on the desktop. Next, what I will simply send this folder with all these files to the lab. And in the second part of the video, Laura will show you how these files are automatically aligned within the dental system. In the case we cannot implement this workflow, let's say within a RayFace and 3Shape software environment, and therefore we don't have the ability to import superimposed intraoral scans, we are going to see the second alignment method, and therefore can be used with all facial scanning systems and with all intraoral scanning systems. What we are going to do will simply be to take over the facial scan. As I mentioned, we are not going to import to align intraoral scans because we don't have them. But we're simply going to do the lip cutout. And then in the same way that we saw previously. This kind of scan with the lip cutout is sent to the lab. In the exact same way without the intraoral scans. With this method, on the export page, we will have the facial scans without the superimposed intraoral scans. Just facial scan with teeth cut out. The second technique that we propose, and which we have also described in a recently published article, involves a perioral scan that will allow us to superimpose both the scan of the intraoral arches and the facial scan. This technique, which involves a scan with the intraoral scanner of the perioral part of the face, was published by Professor Lorusso a few years ago and has been known for a long time. We have slightly modified it, and I will show you how. Before capturing the perioral scan, it is very important to disable the artificial intelligence option so that the scanner does not attempt to recognize the teeth. Let's deflag AI scan artificial intelligence option. And at this point we are ready. Let's always remember then in subsequent scans to reactivate AI option to facilitate intraoral scans. The patient will have to keep the mouth half open. Simply hint a smile and that's it, okay? Well, the position of the lips is not very important because it will surely be different than in the facial scan. The important thing will be the palatine dental arch in the inner part. The nose, the wings of the nose, and part of the forehead that will be needed by the lab. To superimpose the facial scan with the perioral scan and the intraoral scans. It is very important to scan and the palatine part of the incisors, and then we go up, detecting the lips, the nose, the nose tip, the very important glabella, the eyebrows will be important for the lab to go and superimpose with the facial scan. At this point, as you can see, we have detected important areas that will be needed by the lab to superimpose this perioral scan. With the facial scan, we are missing the elements that will allow us to superimpose the perioral scan with the dental arches scan. So we go inside the patient's mouth. As soon as the scanner has detected the incisors area, we go posteriorly. And this, I would say, is the main difference with the techniques already published. The fact that we don't stop to the frontal area with incisors and canines, but we go further, the posterior area. Why do we scan these posterior areas? These posterior areas are critical for the correct spatial positioning of the intraoral scans that will be aligned with the perioral scan. And you will also see this part well described in the lab video part by Laura. The clinical part has concluded, so I showed you how to take facial scans with the RayFace scanner, how to superimpose facial scans and intraoral scans automatically with the RayFace software, thanks to the communication between RayFace and 3Shape Communicate software. In the second part, I showed you how to detect the perioral scan that will be needed in case we cannot do the automatic superimposing within the RayFace software. At this point, I will hand over to Laura, who will demonstrate what happens within the dental system. We are working in a 3Shape environment with all the files we center, using two types of scans. The first type is much more immediate and easier because everything is done automatically. The second type requires the technician to work a bit more by utilizing 3 scans: the intraoral scans, the perioral scan, and the facial scan with the lip cutout.
I get the patient's intraoral scan from Dr. Marco Valenti directly on 3Shape Communicate. I then digitally model the incisor's teeth, changing the shape in order to change the aesthetic outcome. Now I am going to download the face scan file that Dr. Marco sent me, and we're going to upload it on Dental System software. This face scan is already automatically superimposed with intraoral scan, because Dr. Marco has already aligned it with the procedures that you have seen in the first part of the video. So as you can see in the screen, I have the face scan superimposed with intraoral scan in the dental system. I can turn it around at 360 degrees. And I can then model my teeth by following visual references with respect to the patient's face. So I can lengthen my teeth or enlarge them. So I'm lengthening them, seeing if they look better or not. Or I can enlarge them. I have received the face scan superimposed with intraoral scan, and it is ready to be used in my CAD procedures. Scan, and it is ready to be used in my CAD procedures. I am able to get a better idea of what shapes would be suitable for this patient's face. Whereas the second solution is the solution in which the face scan is not superimposed. So Dr. Marco sent me a perioral scan of the patient's face and a scan of the patient's face. I will then have to go and superimpose these scans. First, the perioral scan with the patient's upper arch scan. So now we're going to import the perioral scan. It will arrive clearly misaligned. First, I clearly move it because it came in quite crooked. We remove the lower arch. And through the 3-point align system, I try to align it in the best way possible. So now we're going to do the 3-point alignment. We can do it in color or monochromatic. I prefer to do it in black and white. However, everyone has their preferences. Okay, now let's click align. Let's wait a moment and we'll see the 2 scans align. Okay. Let's choose the colors option. We can go and do a cross-section and check the alignment accuracy. Okay, as you can see, it looks like one line, so there is no distinction between one scan and the other. Okay, once we do that, for convenience, I'm going to take off the upper jaw. And I stay with the perioral scan. Now I'm going to upload the face scan, which I will then have to realign to the perioral scan. We're always going to click load in our window. Let's go find the face scan that Dr. Marco sent us. That also has teeth cut out, but the difference is that it is not aligned. So you see they are not aligned at all when I download it. Now we also put the patient's intraoral scan, and as you see, only the perioral scan is aligned. Now with the 3-point alignment tool, I'm always going to select points and let's try to align them. click Align, and before to proceed, we check with the cross-section tool the alignment accuracy. The nose and forehead areas are perfectly aligned, but not the lips area because the lip positions are different. In one scan, the patient is smiling, and in the other, she is not. So as we saw the two scans were aligned, I can remove the perioral scan, and I insert the patient TRIOS intraoral scan. There are also the teeth that I was modeling, and I can make adjustments regarding the patient's face. This is a totally acceptable scan. With this technique, it is usable with all scanners clearly. This scan, let's say it's fine anyway. Now let me show you the patient jaw movements that Dr. Marco detected on the patient with TRIOS, which is called patient-specific motion. I click on this button here. Let's go and perform jaw movement by clicking this button. And let's see how the jaw moves. And it will leave marks on which I can check to see whether the teeth that I modeled have occlusal interference. So I remove the face scan. I remove the lower arch and check for occlusal interference. I will edit the shapes of the incisors and check the occlusal contacts with patient-specific motion until the occlusion is satisfactory.